In the publish or perish environment of many large research universities, faculty are often faced with the challenge of keeping their development as a teacher on par with their development as a researcher. The University of Michigan Center for Research on Learning and Teaching, or CRLT, is helping instructors do just that, promoting excellence and innovation in teaching throughout the university. John Lofi has the story.
In an environment that prizes research so highly, how do faculty become successful teachers? I visited Connie Cook, Executive Director of CRLT, who first explained to me how CRLT got started.
There was a wonderful faculty initiative in 1962 that led to the development of CRLT. Over the years, many other teaching centers have been established across the country and now across the world, but ours was the very first one. In a typical year, we work with over 4,000 individual instructors and administrators on our campus. So we are touching people in many different ways.
How is it that you came to be in contact with CRLT, and what kinds of things have you done with them?
When I first started here at the university, I really had very little experience teaching. I felt like I was really thrown into the deep end of the pool. The CRLT would come in and they would talk to faculty about different teaching practices. I went to several workshops on, more effective teaching. And something else that they do is they come to the classroom and they assess your teaching. They watch you lecture and they give you feedback on it. And then what they do is they actually talk to students and they ask them some very pointed questions. What do you like about the class? What don't you like about the class? How can things be better? And then they bring that feedback back to the instructor. And so you're constantly improving your teaching that way.
We are lucky enough to be able to fund nearly 100 faculty each year to do innovative things in their classrooms.
One example is Timothy McKay, who helped to pioneer the use of clicker technology on the U of M campus.
What are clickers and how are they used in your class?
So clickers are a name for a set of technology that enables us to interact with every student in a class in real time. So a typical problem that I might have faced before we got involved in using this kind of technology is that I have several hundred students in the classroom. I would like to ask a question.
What effect does it create on the rest of the system?
I'm not just looking for the answer. I know what the answer is. What I want is I want every student to think hard about the question. And if you ask a question in a large group, typically there are 10 people who will ever answer a question. And after the first few days of class, every student in class knows who they are. And the other 190 students realize it's not really their job to answer the question. They just have to wait and hear what the answer is. That kind of passive approach to answering a question is useless to the student. They really need to each personally wrestle with the question and try and come up with the answer. The clicker technology enables us to do that. It lets us ask a question, push every student in the class to think hard about what the answer really is, and then answer for themselves. We can collect all those answers, see how they're answering, and we can find that out in seconds instead of needing to collect a lot of papers.
After funding McKay to develop the clicker technology on campus, CRLT then showcased clickers to other faculty. And when they became more widely used on campus, CRLT surveyed students and faculty and developed a summary of best practices.
Now, some of our more innovative early adopter faculty are starting to have students use cell phones for those quick responses.
CRLT also helped Mareki Milenchik to develop the use of another newer technology, the screencast, which can record audio, video, and the activity of her computer screen during a lecture. Then she posts it on the web for her students to access. She also uses it to create supplementary material for students who need extra help.
Besides the technology, what were some of the other things that you learned from CRLT? Were there just teaching techniques that you learned from CRLT that helped?
No, assessment. Assessment is key.
How so?
Well, because you're making these resources, and who knows who's using them, right? And what they really think of these resources. So I would make homework solution screencast or a mini lecture on, I don't know, dislocations, for instance. And I would make them, and I would never get any kind of feedback. I mean, because the students don't say, hey, professor, great screencast. They never, ever do that. I'm not sure that I would have continued because I didn't know that they were using it. But CRLT came in and polled the students, do you use this? And much to my delight and surprise, they said yes. And we started looking more closely at how they were using it, which screencasts were the most useful. Now that we know, we can really focus our effort on what it is that they need.
I spoke with CRLT's Managing Director Matthew Kaplan about another key part of the CRLT mission, working with faculty and graduate student instructors to foster an environment where students of all backgrounds can learn and excel.
One of the most effective tools we have for addressing diversity issues is the CRLT Players Theater program.
We're working at improving the academic climate, and whether we're looking at scenarios in the classroom or behind the scenes, recruitment and retention of women in the sciences, or the tenure and promotion process, any number of issues that are relevant to academia.
Theater is particularly good at asking questions. It's particularly good at really, I think, engaging and involving audiences. It can provoke, it can create emotional responses.
We know from research that when you're engaged, and particularly when you're emotionally engaged by content, you're going to learn better and more deeply.
You know, I have an important role in this class. Then you don't shut them down. You use their energy to make it an even more positive learning environment.
Most of the sketches are fairly short, 10 to 20 minutes or so. After that, the audience members get to talk to the actors who stay in character. They get to speak with one another about their impressions. They get to make suggestions about how to improve problematic dynamics.
This is Brown, and it's part of who I am.
I won't just rehearse the sketch or the play, won't just rehearse the lines. We'll also rehearse that interactive component.
Does it make you uncomfortable where you sort of have to move from one group to one that you can understand better?
Many times I cannot understand his English and his jokes.
If we're presenting a faculty meeting play that's meant to create a dialogue about gender dynamics in a department or search processes, then the actual actors will have a dialogue or go through workshops that involve reflection regarding sexism and gender and power.
No, it's just that we
Chad, what are you doing to us here, man? Come on.
Yeah, what's going on? You didn't cover dimensional motion?
Yeah, it's in chapter 5, but are you going to explain it?
Chapter
or what?
explain.
I play the sole female faculty member on a chemistry faculty, and there are 4 men and me in the sketch, and we're discussing whether or not to grant tenure to a junior female faculty member. And so the sketch is really interesting, but the audience, it usually brings up all kinds of issues about what actually is said that shouldn't be said, what isn't said that should be said in those kinds of meetings.
We share a quiet bond.
The exciting thing is they can tell you about a sketch they saw 5 years ago, and then they can tell you what they did to change their own classroom practice. It's amazing. There is tremendous satisfaction in teaching well, and we want our faculty, who are so fabulous at research, to have the same satisfaction from their teaching.